Hey everyone, Jeremy here. How is everyone's weekend going? I am very excited to talk about Kenobi today. Gonna obviously probably take a few minutes for people to get in, usually does, but man, so I don't want to go into it too much yet because I'm sure we're going to talk about it a lot, but hopefully your weekends are going good. So, and we can talk about this amazing finale as far as I'm concerned, and just generally, I'm probably going to sit here gushing for the entire time. Uh, it's, uh, wow. Wow. What a time to be a Star Wars fan. We've got Kenobi right now that just ended. We've got Andor starting in August, which is at the end of August. So, 2 months, but that's not that long to wait for Star Wars. And then we've got what? Yeah, I think it goes um, Bad Batch, or no, High Republic. Not High Republic. Tales of the Jedi. Something like Visions. We have like three different Star Wars shows coming as the year goes on. So, and then we've got a Mandalorian and Ahsoka as the next year starts. It's just crazy. I'm so excited right now. Hey, Droid Herder, good to see you in there. Hope your weekend is going well. Ooh, my chat window just went real small. I wonder what's going on here. Hey, Susan. Gush away. That was an amazing finale. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Did I love it? Oh wow. My chat window just freaked out on me. Oh well. Have to use a different chat window. All right. But yeah. And good to see you in there, Susan, as well. Uh, yeah. Again, I think a lot of us walk away going, Ewan deserves an Emmy. I mean, he deserves all the awards. He deserves so many awards. The emotion he evoked during this entire series is just unreal. Ah, sorry to hear that, Herder. So many people are dealing with that lately. But I'm glad you're doing okay. And yeah, I'm still beaming from Kenobi too. Hey, Zach. The finale was a 6 out of 5. Perfect. Perfect. I I honestly I rewatched. I binged it. I re-binged the whole thing last night, and I caught so many. Well, not references really, but so many things I hadn't caught before, like things they set up early on to payoffs that happened later. Things like just even minor stuff, like the guy at the beginning who Obi-Wan was working for, who cut the guy's wages and shoved him. He's the same guy that Riva slapped the water out of his hand when she was looking for information on where she could find Owen. I thought that was seeing. I didn't catch that the first time, and seeing that again, basically watching it all the way through like that, where he appeared in the first episode and then the last. It was just one of those things where I would have never caught that. Also, Riva's full storyline, it really comes into focus watching it from start to finish like that. It really came into focus for me because it was something that I thought it was fine during the series. I really actually like the ending. I think that was a good ending for her, but I like it a lot more now that I could watch the entire series and see the real progression from beginning to end, to see that yeah, she was basically copying Vader. She really wanted to be Vader, or at least was on the path to being a version of Vader. And I had kind of written her off as that, but it became such an interesting tale of what revenge does to you, because it was destroying her and it was destroying Vader. I mean, that's why Vader lost. That's why Vader lost. He was too focused on revenge. Zach, I binged it too. Works better that way, in my opinion. Really felt like I was watching a sequel to Revenge of the Sith. Very much so. This is very much a sequel to the prequel trilogy as a whole, really, but Revenge of the Sith especially. And I loved that about it. It hit all the right notes for me. I know there are people out there that still have their grievances with the show, but I'm honestly tuning them out at this point because I'm kind of relying on my own opinion. I don't need to rely on other people's. Um, I see a few flaws here and there, um, but nothing that prevents me from just absolutely loving this. It's almost like, well, I mean, one of the things that sticks out for me is the score. I do think the score wasn't as memorable as it should have been. I know a lot of people are screaming, oh, it should have been John Williams the entire time. I don't. I think we've got to start living without John Williams as our composer because John's about to retire. He's said as much that, Indiana Jones might be the last score he does. And plus, we did get John Williams throughout this entire series because the Obi-Wan theme played in every episode. Every single episode that Obi-Wan theme was playing. So we actually got him. We got more John Williams in the Obi-Wan series than we have in any other Star Wars since Rise of Skywalker. But I do think the score isn't very memorable. And I do think that they should have, personally, I think they should have gotten Kevin Kiner, who did Clone Wars and did Rebels. He has a perfect ear for Star Wars music, and I really don't know why he's not been tapped more often. But that is, even though I find that, some truth in, yeah, we should have had better music or different music, I should say, doesn't mean I didn't like it. The score still worked. Best finale since 2005. Chocolate, nice. Heard her. She was such a good addition and made it real poignant that Kenobi wasn't able to save Anakin, but at least he could help Reva. It was actually pretty poetic. Yeah. Hey, Chris. See you in there now. Yeah, it's very poetic, but it also, I like the fact that he didn't save her. He didn't actually save her. She saved herself. He gave her encouragement at the end. He gave her words of wisdom on how to follow her own path. But he wasn't the one that brought her back from the brink. He wasn't the one that told her she was fully giving in to the dark side. No, he just encouraged her after she made the decision to pull back, after she walked up to the edge and realized she didn't want to step over. That's when Obi-Wan came in. I really like that because you had three characters who had to learn in this, and one of them didn't at all. That's Vader. And maybe he did a little. I don't think he's as blinded by vengeance or revenge as he was by the time we get to the original trilogy. However, Reva learned her lesson of letting go of the past. Vader hasn't fully, but I think he has. If we don't get a sequel series, I would say that this is intended to show that, yeah, he's having to give up on that quest. We'll talk more about that later, but Obi-Wan and Reva especially both had to learn to let go of their past in order to move forward, in order to have a future. And I really like that. And it comes into really full view when you rewatch the whole thing together. Chocolate, I'm tuning out a lot of the criticism because a substantial amount of the criticism isn't sound or logical. Well, I mean, it doesn't always have to be logical. I mean, sometimes we're just speaking from the heart. But yeah, I'm having a hard time listening to much criticism. I actually, there's a great critic on YouTube, Chris Stuckman, very famous, great critic. And I was watching his review yesterday, and I was so in line with him and my thinking, and also in the fact that he sat there kind of saying, he felt like he had to defend himself, which I don't like that. It feels like you have to defend yourself for liking something right now. And he was talking about that. He was talking about the fact that you kind of feel like you have to defend yourself and defend why you like something right now because of the divisiveness of this series, which I still don't understand why it's so divisive. And he was the same way. Doesn't understand why it's divisive. It just seems like a great story to him. And I'm the same way. And also, I'm just of the mind, I don't need other people to tell me my opinion. And I think a lot of people are shouting their opinions like they're trying to sway you, like they're trying to say, oh, it's bad because of this, and you should think that too. And no, I don't need to hear that. I love it because I love it. I don't need to hear somebody else say otherwise. I mean, valid criticism, sure. I'll listen to that. Like I heard the score criticism, the criticism of the score I've heard. I agree with that to a degree. Nikki, hey, good to see you. Hope you're feeling better. Hope you're feeling better. Oh, I like that, Zach. A youngling who saw what Anakin did, survived it, became resentful to Sith and the Jedi, tried to end them both, Obi-Wan and Vader, yep, but realizes that revenge doesn't give her peace she actually needed. Exactly. And I don't expect Reva to go back to being a Jedi either after this. She's gone too far down the dark path. I think she's going to kind of be neither at this point. I could see her going, well, I used the word already. I think she's going to probably go work for the path or something along those lines. Maybe because it would be a way of helping children that have force abilities that she could keep away from the Empire. I think that is something she is I think she'd be very strongly motivated to do that. Now that she's seen what the Empire truly does and no longer has that need for revenge. Maybe she just needs atonement, and that would be a great way for her to atone. Herder, I agree about the music. It wasn't very memorable, but I do like that they didn't use Imperial March until the end. Right, yeah, Vader's theme / Imperial March. That's when Vader stopped being Anakin, became Imperial Vader. Exactly. And something I didn't catch in my first watch was when we had the broken mask, uh, they really played with the lighting, with the lightsaber lighting, the blue and the red, as well. You know, the voice modulation. Wow, that voice modulation. Hadn't even gone into that yet. But the blue and the red, I didn't even realize it was shifting blue and red on his face even. And sometimes you'd get a hint of Anakin and there'd be a hint of blue. And then but when he went full Vader, his face went all red. Like the lightsaber light just encompassed him in red. And I love that. Now that I've seen it again and I'm aware, it's really cool. Zach, I was really disappointed how the YouTuber Thor Skywalker has totally jumped the hate Kenobi train. I thought he was above that stuff. Um, I'll be honest. I know of Thor Skywalker a little bit. I've watched some of his stuff. Um, Been a while, but for this series, I checked out of pretty much every YouTuber, unless it was like Easter eggs and references video. And like this, I talked about that review I watched with Chris Stuckman. It was one of those things where I was like, well, I'm going to watch the first couple of minutes and see where he's going with this, because I appreciate his criticisms even when because he will, I don't want to say he's impartial because criticism can't be completely impartial, but he's a very balanced person when it comes to criticism. And so I knew I would probably be able to watch his, but other people, yeah, I'm just staying away from him because I don't, it's like having a party where you're extremely happy about something that happened and then having that one friend show up who all they want to do is talk about how horrible life is. That's kind of how I'm feeling right now. It's like, oh, I don't need that rain cloud. I'm good. I loved this series. Not that there can't be valid criticism, but you know, I just don't want to dwell on things that I don't see. Chris, JW's music is more for the epic stuff, and Obi-Wan series was a dirty western like Rogue One. I'm glad you said that, just with high VIP, so it makes sense to have something small but Earth. I agree with that very much, Chris. I do. That is Rogue One is a perfect reference. I thought I meant to say something about that was the music is very much like Rogue One, but I also find that Rogue One's music, and it's Michael Giacchino, and the story behind his music for that is insane. Um, but I also don't consider it memorable. It's not a memorable Star Wars soundtrack, but it's also a wonderful movie. I love Rogue One. So I kind of feel the same way about Kenobi. It's like it works for the show, but it's not that memorable for me. I do think though, had they just, I think like you hit it on the head. Like it needed to be a Western theme. I love that it was there. The music was minimalist, and it was intentionally minimalist, especially throughout most of the episodes. But I feel like during the action sequences, the more profound, the bigger moments, your bounty hunter shootout, your final duel, the duel at the midpoint of the series, those could have used bigger, grander themes. And that is where I feel like they kind of missed the mark. They could have really, really hit us with something really cool on those. And that's about the only times. But they did reference themes. They did reference themes, especially towards the end. Oh, chocolate! Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much. I cried when they played Leah's theme in the finale. Oh, everything about that finale, especially everything. Broken helmet on. Even rewatching it, just I lose myself in the moments. I just lose myself there. Little Leia, dressed as the Leia we know she's going to be. Her hugging Obi-Wan, asking if they'll see each other again, or she'll see him again, and their conversation, the conversation with Bail, something I didn't even catch in my initial, because I was so overwhelmed, but in my initial reaction was him hugging Bail. Just him hugging Bail was so lovely and heartwarming. But yeah, Leia's theme. We got Leia's theme and we got Vader's theme. Wonderful. Just wonderful. Counter. I thought Reva came out of the gate trying too hard to be mean and bad. I could see that because she did come off as very, for me, even a little bit, she was a little mustache twirling villain towards the beginning. It wasn't until we kept going, especially like I said, I rewatched the whole thing in one sitting now, and it works better because she is to a degree playing a part. There is more to her than mustache twirling villain. So she works for me now, but not my favorite villain. Could change over time though. Oh, and hey Maria, I just saw you in there. Sorry. Force hugs, absolute force hugs. Yeah, miss you all. What a great week. Yeah, absolute force hugs, Maria. It's good to see you here. I'll also say I've yet to see a cunning Vader on the big screen or stream, only in books. Counter, I don't know about that. Okay, cunning Vader. Okay, that means the strategist Vader, more or less. Yeah, I'm hard pressed to think about that. He's very reactionary in most of what he does in this, especially. But he was strategizing. He knew what he was doing when in episode 5 when he attacked the rebel base. He was doing that because he knew if he hurt those people, Obi-Wan would give himself up for them. Same thing happened in episode 3 when he came to that village and started grabbing people and dragging them across concrete, killing them. He knew that would draw Obi-Wan out. Now, it wasn't grand strategy, but it was a bit of the strategy. But like laying a trap, a full-blown trap, no. I don't think we've ever seen that in live action yet. There's still time. Chocolate, I've unsubscribed from Theory and Den of Nerds because of their entitlement and whining. I had a feeling Theory. I didn't watch Theory. Just I haven't watched Den of Nerds, but I mean I know who they are, but yeah, I didn't watch Theory this time around. I didn't follow his stuff this time just because I could tell just from the thumbnails he wasn't enjoying it, and yeah. Um, People's favorite lines from the show. Mine was Vader's, "You didn't kill Skywalker, I did." That is a great line. I'm not sure there's a bad line to pick from Vader in this entire series. In fact, changing that a little bit, there's not really a bad line to pick from Vader. Even, the choke on your aspirations line. I'm sorry. I love that line. It's great. Is it a bad joke? Yes. It's a terrible pun, but it's fantastic coming from Darth Vader. But yeah, that one's up there. That one's up there. One thing I noticed was that people who went in with strong, we need to see this or that expectations were mostly disappointed. That's why you should never go in with those type of expectations. People who just let the story unfold were a lot happier with it. And that was me. I didn't have any specific expectations from this story, except that I hoped it told a great Obi-Wan story. That told us something new about the character that added to the mythos of Obi-Wan and Vader. And it did. It corrected way more issues between the prequels and the original trilogy than it caused. Dante, in case you didn't know, HFP releases a Ahsoka tribute. I'm going to get to that very soon. Thank you, Dante. That is coming very, very soon. Especially now that Obi-Wan's over. I'm going to work on that. I think it's like 20 to 30 minutes long, something like that. It's one of the reasons I haven't done it yet, is because it's going to be a long one. But yes, I am getting to it. Absolutely. Nikki, it was touching when Obi-Wan was telling Leia about her parents. I love that his description was so spot on. Wow, that even thinking about it chokes me up, because the way he described them was such adoration. And the way he described them to this child who was very curious about her parents, but at this point knows there's something she can't know about them. She doesn't know why, but for some reason she's not allowed to know. Which, that's a hard thing. That is a hard thing. So, for Obi-Wan to give her that, she had nothing. And instead, here he is describing the best qualities of both. And they were spot on. It was just wonderful. Heard her. Oh my God, we need to have more little Leia stories with Vivian. She was so good. What an actress. I agree. Oh my nose is itching like crazy. I agree. She channeled Carrie Fisher so well. She really did. Oh, I loved her as Leia. Loved her. Counter, why did Obi-Wan show little interest in training Princess Leia over Luke? I think that's something we haven't really explored in Star Wars to a great degree. The only thing we can hang our hat on really is that Yoda specifically told him to watch over Luke and train him when the time comes. He didn't say that about Leia. He said it about Luke, and that was Obi-Wan's assignment. So I think that's a part of it. And another part of it, just psychological, would be he looks at those kids like Padme and Anakin. He sees a lot of Padme and Leia. Granted, some Anakin too, but he looks at her and is like, "No, you're gonna be the next Padme. You don't need to be a Jedi. You need to be a Padme, someone who fights for the people in that arena, in the political arena." And Luke, on the other hand, I think he sees as Anakin. I think he just, and again, this is all just psychological, all subconscious. I think he sees him so much as Anakin and thinks, I have to train him to be better than his father. So, because Bail's already training Leia to be better than even his mother or her mother. So I think that's what's really playing into it. That's kind of where I'm at right now. It's not that he doesn't have interest, it's that he feels like she's got her own path. Ooh, I lost my place. Uh, oh, Zach, that's a good point too. Leia is probably already known by the Empire because of his dad, Bail, or her dad. She is too well known, unlike Luke. Oh, so to train her outright, you're saying that you could actually, it would be more public if you could see her as a Jedi, which I get that, but I don't know. I think in that case, I think you could keep it secret that she was training as a Jedi, but it would draw a spotlight on Obi-Wan. I think that's more of a problem than anything, because if Obi-Wan went to train Leia and Leia is in such a grand spotlight, he would be in the spotlight too, which that's a problem. And then also, okay, well, we'll keep it secret. Leia will go off with Obi-Wan. Okay, well, your daughter just disappeared. The Princess of Alderaan just disappeared and nobody knows where she is. That could become a problem too. So I could see, you were onto something though. So I could see the politics of training her just would get in the way. That's a good point. Um, Chris, I understand now why I had a criticism of Riva. Her story arc is Siri and Trilla combined, so it felt pretty much a deja vu of Jedi Fallen Order, but that's just me, and it may be a thing for Star Wars casual fans. Yeah, I can see that now, but to me, it's just another dark side, or turning away from the dark side storyline, which we've had them. Um, so, but I could see why you would see that. Didn't do that for me. Did not do that for me. Best line was hello there. I loved that. Loved that so much. His first words to Luke. His first words to Luke are hello there. Uh, Many people are saying that the whole final duel and conversation with Vader and Obi-Wan is in their top 5 Star Wars moments. It's probably with me too. Nothing tops Luke's I am a Jedi to me though. Oh, that's, yeah, I agree. I agree. That is oh boy. I don't know if it's in my top 5 Star Wars moments. I'm going to need time for that. I don't really rank my moments too often, but the I am a Jedi like my father before me. That is probably up there, if not my top, but up there. But this conversation with the cracked mask, all of that, that entire finale for Obi-Wan and Vader. That's up there. That's up there as far as Star Wars moments are concerned, because that conversation is so well done. Everything about it, the lighting, the makeup, the visual effects, the audio, that haunting, disturbing audio coming from Vader's helmet as Anakin speaks. He keeps moving in and out from Anakin to James Earl Jones to Vader to even a middle ground where it's just distorted and gross. And then the acting on top of that. Ewan's face. Ewan's face and delivery in that scene. It was heartbreaking. Oh, but it was heartbreaking almost to hopeful. Like, because he got closure in that scene. He did get his closure in that scene. Here he was torturing himself, thinking he completely failed his Padawan. And now he sees he may not have been able to save him. He finally gets that closure of, I would have been happy to save you, but you have no interest in it. I have to let you go because you're not coming back. So it was, yeah, that moment. Of course, we know that he will eventually come back, but it does take Luke. It does take his children to do that. Herder, I appreciate so much that the show didn't become a meme fest, and I saved hello there for that one special time in the last episode. They could have easily made this show a cavalcade of references and cameos and memes. And they didn't. And I love that. I absolutely love that. It would have been so easy to do that. And other series have come close to kind of doing that. But this one steered clear of that, and I appreciate it. Edward, hello. How you doing, Edward? Definitely Leo was too much of a public figure, whereas Luke is just a kid looking for power converters in the desert. The finale was amazing. It broke some George-isms, with Qui-Gon being able to have a physical Force ghost. But, well, I loved it either way. I don't know if that broke a George-ism. I don't think it's ever been specifically said in canon that Qui-Gon couldn't manifest as a Force ghost. I know we assumed he couldn't because we only heard his voice originally. But I kind of feel like I don't. Yeah, I feel like he could have. Maybe he can only appear to Obi-Wan. Maybe that's the thing. He can do it, but it only can be Obi-Wan because they were so close, because they were so attached. Chocolate, I love how they used horror elements throughout the series, which hasn't really been done in Star Wars before. Very much so with Vader. They very much went for making him a terrifying and imposing figure, and I love that. I love that. That was a very strong presence he had throughout the series, and it was cringe-inducing in the best possible way. Counter, I did find it strange how Vader obscured or asked if Obi-Wan was there to destroy him, like, like, you followed me, bro. Right, but he knew Obi-Wan had gone to that planet intentionally with, he was drawing Vader out. He knew it. He knew that Obi-Wan wanted this confrontation. Nikki, I love the first thing Qui-Gon says to Obi-Wan is, took you long enough. Oh, I am a lot better now? Okay, good. Thank you. Thank goodness there, Nikki. Glad to know that you're feeling better. Glad to know you're feeling better. Um, yeah, the Qui-Gon moment, it was a perfect Qui-Gon. It was a perfect Qui-Gon. I know there are a lot more people that are excited about that moment than I am. I think it's a great little end. It is a nice little tidy ending to the series. Um, but yeah, that took you long enough. I love the way Liam delivers it. It was with with only what a mentor or father figure could say. That tone, the way it was delivered, with a little bit of humor, but it was biting humor. He was a little serious too. Oh, Zach, shout out to also to Liam appearing, man, pulling Andrew Garfield on us. Well, I've the interview I saw where he talked about would you ever come back as Qui-Gon in like a series or a movie? The way he answered that was almost like he was talking about starring as Qui-Gon. The way it was worded, the question was worded, the way I even took it was, "Oh, would you come back as Qui-Gon in a movie or series?" That sort of a question rather than would you cameo. Think that's where he was not fibbing necessarily, but he was answering it from a certain point of view. Chocolate, I sobbed some more when I saw Liam. It was such a joy to see him. You knew they had to show him eventually. He had to show up. We talked about Ewan for since the beginning. One of the first things Obi-Wan does is try to commune with Qui-Gon in the first episode. So we knew he had to appear. It was just when and where. I had predicted he'd appear before the duel with Vader because that would echo um, Return of the Jedi, where Obi-Wan came to Luke. But didn't happen, and it's fine because it actually would have broken up. Rewatching it, especially, that would have really broken up the pacing, and not in a good way because we wouldn't need a conversation with Qui-Gon to just stop everything dead right before the duel. Arica, General Kenobi. Herder, to me, the Master Stroke was showing how broken Kenobi was in the first eps, and how hopeful he was in the sixth. That was a bridge between prequels and the original trilogy that this show needed to be. I agree completely. Um, I really like that. I don't know that you. Well, no, you did need to tell the story. I think you did need to tell the story of what would it be for Obi-Wan to lose Anakin like that, to lose not just Anakin but his entire family, that being the Jedi Order, his way of life, his brother, his little brother that he had raised since he was a child, his best friend, his entire world. He lost it all. He lost his entire world. And a part of his world, a big part of his world, was Anakin. He loved him. He said so himself. So, to show how Obi-Wan was a casualty of Revenge of the Sith, and then to slowly build him back up, to show him there's hope, to show him how despair had overwhelmed him, had really taken him from life. And to have Leia kind of be the guide to that, to ease him back into the world, to force him back into it. The first time he uses the Force, he's catching Leia. First time he uses a lightsaber, he's defending against Vader while Leia is escaping. When does he fully come back? Not fully. When does he start to fully come back into his own with the Force? when he goes to rescue Leia. It was such a wonderful progression. I mean, this was only 6 episodes, and only 2.5 of those episodes, actually only one episode he didn't use the Force. Only one episode he didn't use the Force, and that was episode 1. In episode 2, that's when he caught Leia. In episode 3, that's when he had to fight Vader. Episode 4 is when he went to save Leia. So it was just this progression, and I love it. And it all led to him coming back to the person he was, losing the despair, losing the past, letting go of it finally, and reaching out for hope, which is those children. They're the new hope. And that's part of the reason why that flashback, or those flashes when he's being buried under the rubble, is so poignant to me. Is, yeah, he moves away from the pain that was Anakin and starts focusing on the hope, those kids. And that's when we get our Obi-Wan fully back. And actually, to a degree, we've never seen him fully in tune with the Force. Edward, I need a part 7 with his journey with Qui-Gon, Ewan and Liam series. Oh, I'd watch an entire episode of them just walking to his new hut. Like his new home that he has in episode 4. Yeah, I could watch an entire just 30-minute episode of those two chatting on the way. I would enjoy that thoroughly. Zach, after binging the show, I felt empty inside, but in a good way. Like, I've seen the closure to Obi-Wan Anakin story. Excited for Ahsoka, but nostalgia-wise, I think I've seen all I want from Star Wars. Oh, wow. So, as far as nostalgia, though, is what you're saying. I could understand that. And I do feel like this gave us a lot of closure. I have said that I would love a season 2. But I do feel like if this is one and done, it's really given us closure to the Obi-Wan. Not necessarily Obi-Wan. Well, actually, the Obi-Wan Anakin storyline is now closed. The Obi-Wan Vader is obviously not. But the Obi-Wan Anakin story is very much closed. Arca, my only gripe about the end was that I wanted to see Obi-Wan and Luke actually have a conversation. Boring conversation anyway. No, I gotta imagine. I don't know. I don't think I needed it. I don't think I needed it. It was too great to end on that line. And what was he gonna say to Luke? You know, here's this T-16 I gave you. Do you like flying? I bet you like flying. Can't talk to him about being a Jedi. You can't talk to him about his parents. So, moisture farming. How about that moisture farming, kid? You like moisture farming? Arca, I saw something on Pinterest that compared the Vader mask scene with the Ahsoka duel in Rebels, and then with Luke removing the full mask in Return of the Jedi. The caption was scrolling. The master removed the right of the helmet. The apprentice removed the left. But the son could remove it all. In other words, Obi-Wan could glimpse parts. Ahsoka could glimpse and get to parts of Anakin that still existed. But it took Luke to fully see Anakin again. Wow. Wow. I have to say, Anakin or Hayden is pulling a lot of Andrew Garfield. He is definitely in Ahsoka. We cannot tell. You cannot not tell. Yeah, I saw an interview where he got asked about Ahsoka, like, because he was talking about watching the Clone Wars, how he's watched the entirety of the Clone Wars now, and he knows the whole story and things like that, which, come on, that's research. I guarantee that's just research for Ahsoka already. But the interviewer asked, were you able to bring stuff from that into Ahsoka? And obviously Hayden's just like, that was pretty much it. It was just like, in the interview, he was like, can't talk about Ahsoka. He's like, don't know what you're talking about. And it was just it was the biggest yes to, it was the biggest, he was saying no, but he was also saying yes. He was very much saying, yeah, I'm in Ahsoka, but we cannot talk about that. But he did play it off, but it was still, just by playing it off, you knew. You knew. Um, I'm losing my place. Chocolate. Hayden doesn't have to say much, but he gave one, if not the best acting performance in Star Wars. He reminded me, Hannibal Lecter, when his mask was slashed, he did a phenomenal job. I agree. And wow, my muscle just spasmed in my neck. That's what I get for working out right before this. Um, uh, oh my goodness, that hurts. You remind me of Hannibal Lecter. Yeah, that scene, and I include Hayden when I talk about that scene where the acting was so powerful in that scene. He was just vicious. That's how I kind of describe Vader throughout this whole series. He was just vicious. And in that scene, it was still there. Just the way, the head tilt, and just the anger in his eyes and the hate. It was almost snarling the way he was delivering his lines. Wonderful. Obi should have said, Luke, next time you fly, try spinning. That's a good trick. Oh my. I'm losing my place again. Edward, I just need to see what happens with Vader's pyre. Did Ahsoka go there? Which other people go there? Ooh, that's a good question. I could see that appearing in Ahsoka. I could very much see that happen in Ahsoka, where we get a scene where she visits the pyre and introduces herself to Luke. That could be the moment where they actually meet. Because as we know, Ahsoka essentially stays in the shadows after Clone Wars, after episode 3. So, sorry. So I could very much see her go to the pyre. I could see that be their moment where they meet. And it sounds like Ahsoka's going to pick up at the end of Rebels, which the end of Rebels picks up right at the end of Return of the Jedi. So I kind of think that might happen. I'd love it if it did. I'd absolutely love it. Would it be another Luke cameo? Yes. Would I be okay with that? Yes. Because I still want to see when they met. I'd love to see that conversation. Um, Chris, I dread to see the Anakin Ghost cameos in Ahsoka's series and bet it will be dysfunctional for a while because he caused the hurt in the relationship for the most part. Oh, when you said you dreaded to see the Anakin cameos, I was like, Mhm. But no, I see what you're saying. That would be rough. That would be so rough. We may There's a possibility. I know I said it looks like this may pick up right after Return of the Jedi, but this may pick up sometime later, or it may actually show, it could have a time jump. So we may never see when Anakin first appears to Ahsoka, or we might. It's going to be, man, Ahsoka's got a lot of chill, though. Ahsoka's got a lot of chill. She's got a lot of hurt, but she's got a lot of chill. So I have to think she won't be a crying mess. I can never picture Ahsoka as a crying mess. But it won't. Oh, man, I don't know what to expect. I'm sitting here going, I don't expect her to fly off the handle, to be angry. But I don't know what to expect. Oh. Counter, I'm assuming this isn't the only show Hayden Christensen is going to be in. No, it's heavily rumored he's going to be in Ahsoka. And with everything he's said, it really sounds like he is. Zach, I trust Filoni to handle that conversation beautifully. It will be heartbreaking. Also, I can't wait for flashbacks of Hayden to call her Snips. That is something, excuse me, that is something I really thought about. And that is, we are definitely, I mean, I wouldn't say definitely, but we are most likely going to get flashbacks in the Ahsoka series to Clone Wars. Not specific Clone Wars moments, but that time frame of him training Ahsoka, much like we got in this episode where we saw, or not this episode, this series where we saw the flashback to Anakin and Obi-Wan training. I think we got to see something like that in this series where we see a time with Anakin where she's spending time with Anakin, her master, her big brother, this person she loved. And I think they've got to show that because Filoni's smart enough to know there are people that didn't watch the Clone Wars. There are people that vaguely know who Ahsoka is, but they don't have that attachment that a lot of us do. So just as a storyteller, he's going to know he needs to establish what their relationship is, what their relationship was like. And I really think we'll get a flashback similar to that. And then that might lead into the whole conversation thing we were just talking about where, maybe we'll see her reaction to seeing Anakin again. Arca didn't Rosario confirm that he's already in Ahsoka. I thought she tweeted something like Hayden like they know, indicating that everyone figured it out. LOL. I didn't see that, but that wouldn't surprise me because it is like the worst kept secret in Star Wars. I feel like because they are also promoting Hayden a lot. They are putting him out there a lot. I love that they are, but I don't think it's just for Vader. I don't think it's just for Vader. Oh, Summer. Hello there. Super late, but what did you decide to watch between now and Andor? I'm not sure yet. Between now and Andor, one thing I'm definitely going to do is finally get caught up on some of the like tributes and things like that I've missed over the past few months. Because like HFP has the new Ahsoka tribute, so I'll be doing that shortly, like this week. Um, but I don't know after that. I haven't really landed on a series that's grabbing me right now that says, hey, you should do this series for basically the month of July and August, because that's really what I feel like I've got. So I haven't found one yet. So if you guys ever think of any, feel free to leave them in comments or in this or, other videos as suggestions. Always love suggestions. I know a lot of people are saying Sandman, but I think that comes out at the beginning of August, and that's I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it because it all drops at once. That makes it harder. Zach, Anakin was a big part of Clone Wars, so I'm sure Filoni will bring him back for Ahsoka. Anakin's a huge part of her character. I I feel like that's just. I feel like it's a given. I feel like it's a given now. Ahsoka needs to meet Leia. Oh, Arika. That would be something. Man, those two would get along so incredibly well. Now I want a Skywalker family reunion where it's Luke, Leia, and Ahsoka all talking about Anakin. Wow. Of course, timing wise, no, you could just set it right after Return of the Jedi, and you could set it pretty much in the time period our show's going to be. I wouldn't hate that. Disney, if you're watching, I know you watch my streams, I'm sure. Filoni, I know you're in the chat just lurking right now. You can feel free to go ahead and have a Skywalker family reunion. Zach, rank these three: Clone Wars Season 7, Kenobi, and Rogue One. Kenobi's still too new. Kenobi is still too new. It could, if I had to do it right now, it might go Kenobi, Clone Wars, and then Rogue One. Rogue One would be last. I love Rogue One, but it would be last out of those three. Yeah, it's still. And well, actually, if you're taking all of season 7, then definitely Kenobi, because I feel like season 7, while good, is inconsistent. The Bad Batch episodes are good. The Sisters episodes, I'm not a fan of, but then you've got the finale. So if I was taking just the finale of Clone Wars versus Kenobi and Rogue One, then Clone Wars, the Clone Wars finale comes out on top for me. I love that so much, but barely, because I also love Kenobi so much. But because I have to take the entirety of season 7, then Kenobi. Edward, as I definitely say time and time again, Clone Wars, the show that created Ahsoka, ended up in an Anakin-centered movie on her own series. The same will occur. Oh, I think I see what you're saying there, Edward. Yeah, Clone Wars started out as though it was going to be Anakin's series, turned out to be Ahsoka's. Like, there was no doubt that was Ahsoka's series by the end, and it was amazing. Everyone finding out Anakin had twins. This is getting out of hand. Now there are 2 of them. Oh, that's too funny. Really, the only person that knows, new person that knows, is Reva. And she'd already knew that Anakin was Vader anyway. So, I'm okay with that. I don't think anybody else found out. Saru, by the way of suggestion, old school sci-fi, Babylon 5. I've seen Babylon 5. I actually just watched Babylon 5 for the first time a few years ago. Kind of wish I hadn't. But I don't think I would have had that strong of a reaction to it. It was a cool series. It is a cool series, though. I think they're doing a reboot. If I read right, I think they're working on a reboot, which, as long as it's still J. Michael Straczynski, heck, you can take the old scripts and just redo the series with current technology, and I'd be happy. Because it was a very well-written series. Incredible story arc. Summer, are you planning to do a season review of Superman and Lois? If so, that would be one of the things you could, or what would be some of the things you would touch on? I'm not video essayist. I want to touch on parenting styles. Who? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if... I'm sure I'll do either a season review or a season finale reaction. I haven't quite decided which. I got to remember when it's on, because I hate that it keeps going away. That is the one thing about broadcast television I am very over. I very much like streaming much better because the inconsistent times just it's on one week, it's off the next, it's off or on the next week, and then it's on for 2 to 3 episodes, then it's off for a month. Just it drives me nuts. So I will get to Superman and Lois. I don't know what I'll touch on this time. I think I'll have to see the entirety of the series to know what I'll really be touching on. Chris, if you are looking to react to YouTube channels, I recommend you check out Papito Quinn's Korea's Continuum playlist. Oh, that KOTOR, Korea. Gotcha. Oh, they're thinking about a reboot of Babylon. Okay. Zach, Disney gave us a holiday special. Canon, non-canon, don't care, with Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, Ahsoka, R2, and 3PO, with Force Ghost, Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Yoda hanging around in Yoda's hut or something. Oh, is that the Lego? I think it's the Lego Christmas special they did. Because they've done one, I think, each year. Georgia, in canon between Return of the Jedi and Last Jedi, it's made public that Leia is Vader's daughter, which leads to her resignation from the New Republic Senate and starting the Resistance. So people do find out eventually. Yes, I've read that. Bloodlines, or Bloodline, is the name of the book. Very good, very good. And it's one of those things where in the EU, they did not take that approach. Really, not the way it happened in Bloodline and the new canon. And I kind of like the approach they took because it would be political. It would murder you politically to find out that the one of the greatest monsters in history is your father. That's not an easy thing to come back from. Your political opponents would just destroy you with it. And I do like that storyline of, well, kind of pushes Leia out of, or into a more radical role in politics, and that's why she becomes the leader of the resistance. So that is an interesting story to me. Wish we could have kind of seen that play out in live action in like a Leia series. I mean, I guess we still could. Still think Billy should just play Leia. We could do a series like this, a limited series. I think it'd be cool. Sid, what surprised you most from Kenobi? And is that a blue kyber crystal you're wearing? It's actually a blue lightsaber. It's a blue lightsaber. Looks like a kyber crystal, but it's a lightsaber. I do have a kyber crystal necklace, but I use that for cosplay. Surprised me most. That's a good question. Leia. I think Leia might be the big surprise for me. Like the absolute biggest surprise of a lot of surprises. We got a lot of surprises in this, but I gotta say the fact that Leia became such a central character in the story. And I know there have been leaks and things like that, but I stay away from it. And I remember, I think at one time I heard someone somewhere once say, "Oh yeah, Leia's gonna be a big part of the series." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever." More just crazy theories. I had no idea. Oh, that was Krea's Conundrums. Okay, saw that, Chris. That's fine. Um, yeah, but it's got to be the inclusion of Leia. I think I'm hard pressed to think of anything else that surprised me more than her and her storyline. Yeah, I might think of something later, but right now I'm gonna have to say Leia. Yeah, Chocolate just started following you on Twitter. Good, you get to hear my random musings and such there now. Edward, don't forget to do the Sandman. August 5th, I'll be there. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I need to figure out, I need to look up how many episodes it is and things like that because if it's something I can do reasonably, I might have to do it. Arca, there's a fan series about stormtroopers called Bucketheads. Some people have reacted to. I think there's only one episode so far, but I've heard it's good. I actually did. There are actually, I think, two episodes. I'm glad you said that. I think there are two episodes now because I did the first, I believe. Um, so, yeah, Bucketheads. Bucketheads. I'm glad you said that, Arya. Arca. I almost called you Arya. Arya Stark. Um, but no, that's a good point. I might actually, I will try to get back to that. There's a, okay, I'm just seeing you guys talk about the fact that the Lego movies did a Lego backstory for Kylo. Oh, I kind of might have to see that. Oh, I just saw something I wanted to touch on. Summer, I loved Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen. Auntie B, trouble's coming. Time to strap up. Clack, clack, Uncle Owen. Who the bleep did I marry? That was awesome, Summer. That was such an awesome. I love that Aunt Beru was just like, nope, grab the guns. Gotta protect the kid. I mean, not only was it really just a cool moment, but it actually, story wise, makes things make more sense. Again, it's another thing from episode 3 to episode 4 that I feel like got smoothed out because of this. Obi-Wan had to have a reason to not just hover over Luke anymore. And it was because Owen and Beru, he figured out could legitimately protect the child. He didn't have to be there all the time to protect him. He could go out and live again. But he still stays nearby in case they need him. But Owen and Beru are perfectly capable of protecting that child when trouble arises. Um, it it actually it was a great moment because they are on a farm in a remote location where they've probably had raiders before. So they would need to be prepared for something like that. So I love it that they were not just prepared for raiders, but they were prepared that, the Empire might come for our boy someday. And we got to be ready. And Baru was mama bear, an absolute mama bear in that scene. Just, nope, coming for my boy. I'm going to put a slug in her. So great. Zach, wonder when they will announce new shows, the ones that are upcoming, Andor, Mando, Ahsoka, Acolyte. We have known for a long time already. I know that sounds greedy, but more Star Wars is always good. I think what we're probably more likely going to hear are announcements for new seasons. Like I could see them say we're getting a season 2 of Kenobi, which I have a theory on that one. I want to somebody remind me in a minute. I don't want to go. I don't want to miss anybody's comments. Well, forget it. I'll say it now. I kind of wonder. I think we're going to get an announcement soon of something else to follow up on Kenobi. I think that's what our big next announcement will be. As far as new series, we got a lot already coming in the pipeline, so I don't think we'll actually hear anything new until maybe October, November, somewhere in there. But I'm actually wondering if we've talked about. Yeah, uh, a lot of people have talked about the fact that Ewan wants to come back, that Hayden wants to come back, so it'd be easy to do a Kenobi season 2. However, I feel like we've told a very contained story. What if our season 2 was a Vader series? Picks up around the same time frame, just after, and this time Vader is our central protagonist, And Obi-Wan is the secondary character, much like Vader was in this. We invert it. So we'd get our Vader series, but it would be, in a way, a quasi sequel to the Kenobi series. Maybe in it we learn that Vader, well, Vader finally learns to let go of his revenge, or not revenge necessarily, but of his obsession with Obi-Wan. And we see that he is a cunning strategist. We see certain things that we haven't gotten to dive into because his screen time was so limited in Obi-Wan. Not that we saw a nice bit of Vader, but he definitely wasn't the main character. Obi-Wan was. So let's flip that. I don't know. It was just something I'm kicking around. I thought it'd be cool. I heard her. I posted a meme with Brew. I'm here to kick butt and drink blue milk, and I'm all out of blue milk. That's great. Uh, Edward, I'm glad you said that. Gives them, Baru and Owen, the possibility of a fight to when we see their deaths. It has more of a weight. Right. That is something I heard her too. A lot of people are saying that they put up a fight in A New Hope, which is why they got toasted. I agree. I agree. I think this establishes that, well, it recontextualizes their deaths in A New Hope. Those stormtroopers showed up looking for those droids. They thought they were looking for Luke. So they went all in. They grabbed their guns and they went to defend the homestead, to defend Luke. And now, even though Luke wasn't there, but yeah, they got into a scrap and they lost. I actually prefer that. I actually really prefer that. I mean, I think the Empire would have killed them anyway, but I really prefer the idea that Baru and Owen would have given their lives standing up like that. Alright, Aunt Beru deserves more love. She seemed like such a sweetheart in A New Hope, and I bet Luke turned out to be so nice because of her. Yeah, she was the very positive influence on him. I love how gruff and grumpy Owen is. I really do. He is absolutely, he kills me. He absolutely kills me. But yeah, Beru was just awesome. Edward, next semester will be good eating. We got like 3 Star Wars shows coming this year. Oh, Arica. What if we get Ewan as Force Ghost Obi-Wan in something? Like everyone already guessed Hayden will be in Ahsoka, but what if Obi-Wan shows up too? That's a valid point. It's a very valid point. Uh, and who's to say? I mean, you could have Ahsoka go to her own, meditation stone, some temple, Jedi temple somewhere where she hears and sees Jedi that have come before, that the people she knew and lost. So she could see Ewan, or she could see Obi-Wan, I should say. She could see Anakin. Maybe she would even see someone like Ayla, or um, still don't know what happened to Barris. Um, so Shakti. Oh, oh no! I just realized who she could see, and my heart would break, and I'd both lose my mind. I think this is gonna happen. Um, Master Plo Koon. She would absolutely see him. So the 3 she would probably see would be Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Master Plo, because she had such attachment to all 3. And as we all know, Filoni loves Plo Koon. So if he can find a way to use him, I could see that Force Ghost visiting her. I can really see it. Edward, I want to see Vader raiding planets back and forth, destroying everything. Hey, if we get my proposed Vader series, again, Disney, Filoni, I know you're watching, then we could see the absolute devastation he wreaks on a planet. He was saying it in this episode. He was like, we're going to destroy everything in our path until we get to Kenobi. And that's when Palps is going, okay, buddy, let's dial it back. We are on the same page here, right? Kenobi needs to be caught because he's a Jedi, not because you're Anakin Skywalker. Chris, the Reva sideshow that Hollywood's been raving about, Vader's story fits into. Oh, yeah, as far as a quasi-sequel series, Chris, I could see that. If they did a Reva, I don't really want one. I don't like her character well enough. Nothing to do with Moses Ingram or anything like that. It's just I didn't care for Reva. So it's going to be a lot to ask me. It's kind of like with the Andor situation, where I didn't like. It's not that I don't like Cassian Andor. He just wasn't the most interesting character in Rogue One for me. I was way more attached to the other characters. So Reva is kind of the same way, where if you're going to give me a spin-off series or a sequel series, something like that from this, Reva is the hardest sell. You could sell me on an Aunt Beru series before you could sell me on an Owen and Beru series. Kind of don't hate that idea. But Reva, I think the way you would have to do a Reva series is it couldn't be about Reva solely. It would need to be a little bit more in the style of Mandalorian, or even actually what they're doing with Andor, where it's not just about Andor. It looks like it's going to be about multiple characters, not just him. That's kind of what I'm thinking with a Reva series. Like if you wanted her to join up with the Path and follow that storyline, like she joins the Path, starts aiding kids. I was saying that earlier. I think that would be a good redemption arc for her, is that she dedicates her life to saving Force-sensitive children. Then I could see a Reva series work to a degree, because you'd be using the Path as the main character, not just Reva. In fact, if you wanted to call it Star Wars The Path, and she is one of the main characters, and O'Shea Jackson's character is one of the main characters, and then you could bring in Quinlan Voss as a character. I can see that story work. But I want my Vader series more. And Hayden wants a Vader series too. Just saying. Chocolate. Kenobi show has really given us some amazing heroines in live action, more so than Book of Boba and Mando, and I think it passes the Bechdel test. I'd say it definitely passes the test. Yeah, I'm trying to think. And Boba and Mando had its fair share. Boba, I don't know. I think they were pretty even. Suru. In season 2, we get more General Kenobi in the beginnings of the Resistance forming, from hiding to fighting. Oh, the Rebel Alliance. I could see that to a degree, but Kenobi couldn't be a part of it. My thinking is, if you really wanted to do a season 2, you could. You could have something that happens that draws Obi-Wan out, but it would need to be very specific. It couldn't be, yes, I'm going to go out and help start the rebellion. No, couldn't be something that big. It would have to be like a specific mission that only Obi-Wan Kenobi could do. It would have to be something very specific. Like Corky basically needs to show up on Tatooine. You know, we would need something like that. It would need to be something very big and very focused, because it cannot be, I'm just off to have an adventure. It, it's not the Mandalorian. He still has a task to do. He still needs to be around for Luke if and when he needs him. He just learned he doesn't have to hover over him. It doesn't mean he doesn't still have to be around. So it's really possible. And it's also possible that he comes back out because of Vader, because something that Vader is doing. Maybe Vader takes a hostage and tries to draw out Obi-Wan. Maybe he kidnaps Gorky. We finally find out his fate. Summer, I wonder if we're going to be seeing some of Vader and Andor. I don't think we will. And I only think that because I don't think we're going to have Force sensitives in Andor. I think they're going to stay away from that. I think that's kind of. I think we could get a Grand Moff Tarkin, though. And that excites me. We could get a Grand Moff Tarkin. We could get a Thrawn. How much would you lose your minds? We could get a Thrawn in that series. I don't think we would get in season 1. I think that would be more like, if we get him in Ahsoka, then that would be in season 2 of Andor. So they introduce him in Ahsoka, and then suddenly we're seeing him in Andor. They like to do those cross-pollinating sort of things. So I could really see something like Tarkin, Thrawn, references to the Emperor, obviously. That I think the Emperor would be more likely to show up than Vader, and the Emperor would only be in like video form, you know, in hologram form. But I think they're going to try to stay away from the Force and Andor series because they want that doesn't fit the tone they're going for. Much like Rogue One, except we got the one blast of Vader at the end, but for the most part they tried to keep it very grounded. Herder, chances are getting better that we'll see Quinlan Voss coming up in one of these shows too. Agreed. That's not just a throwaway line. Rarely do we get anything that's a complete throwaway in Star Wars anymore. It's very much like Marvel in that sense anymore. Because if you get a throwaway line to a character, it's not necessarily throwaway. They're going to show up somewhere. I think he's going to show up in the Bad Batch, personally. I think he's going to show up in the Bad Batch this season, and then we'll see him possibly show up in Ahsoka or something else. But yeah, he's coming. I really think he's coming. So I see you guys talking about Ewan showing up as Force Ghost to Obi-Wan, kind of thinking it might be disrespectful to Alec. I don't think it would be disrespectful as long as you aren't putting him in old age makeup. That's my take. You could have him show up as Force Ghost Obi-Wan to Ahsoka as the Ewan we know right now, or even de-age him, because then you would just be saying the Force Ghosts are all perspective. Ahsoka knew him as that episode 3 Obi-Wan Kenobi. So that's who she'd see. Same with Anakin and anyone else. So I don't find that disrespectful at all. I think it's actually more disrespectful if you deep faked him onto Alec's performance, which they would never do. Alec was so good as Obi-Wan. You would never do that. And I see what Ark is saying in there. You would also Ewan would also never ever allow them to do that, ever. He loves Alec. He talks about him with such reverence. He's one of those people who knows he's standing on the shoulder of a giant. Granted, he's another giant on top of a giant, but he doesn't think of it that way. Herder. It would. If they bring back Reva, it would be better to do a series on the path. Yeah, where she's joined up with Roken. Thank you. I could not remember his name. Roken, and the people smuggling younglings. Zach, I think the Avengers type combination show movie will happen at some point with Ahsoka, Rebels, Mando, Boba, Luke, etc. Could be in 2025 or something. I agree, Zach. I think that they alluded, or actually more or less said something like that later, or in one of their announcements many moons ago at this point, years literally at this point, where they said all these series were going to build into like a maxi series of some sort. And yeah, I think right now you're looking at Ahsoka, Mando, Boba, and then yeah, you'd have somebody like Luke in there, and the new characters or old characters like from Rebels would show up, and you could get other characters that were still yet to meet. But yeah, I really think that's still in the cards. I think that's really still in the cards. I have a feeling John and Dave are probably in charge of that too, since it involves basically all the series they're executive producing. I could see Reva and Quinlan teaming up to help with the path, but I feel like that would be more likely to be a comic than a show. If they do a Path series or a Reva series, I could see it. If they don't, then yeah, I could see a comic or a novelization. Probably a comic. I can see that. What happened to Lux Bontelli? I'm trying to remember who Lux Bontelli is. Who's Lux Bontelli? I'm Googling it. Oh, Lux. Ahsoka's friend. That's another character. Again, there because we still have some threads that never got tied up from Clone Wars. So that's another character that could show up. We might see him in Ahsoka. You never know. That could be a way to bring in Mando. Or a Mandalorian storyline at least. Arca, Tarkin, Thrawn, and Krennic having a conversation. I'd love that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure my mind would melt. I don't, wow. I want that so badly now. Herder, timeline-wise, Thrawn's much more likely in a Ahsoka show than in Andor. Well, Thrawn joined the Empire. Ooh, what was that? Like not even 5 years after Episode 3? Depends on where they set Andor. Thrawn could very much be a part of the Empire already. Because he joined, essentially, I believe, right after Episode 3. Like, he joined, got drafted. It was a really weird way he became a part of the Empire. But yeah, that happened really, really quick after Episode 3. At least it felt that way. I'd have to look at the timeline again. Zach, Thrawn is the next big bad like Thanos was in the MCU. I agree. I agree. I think they're really setting him up to be the face of the Imperial Remnant. We had faces of that in the old EU, and I think they're going to kind of draw on that a bit and make him the face of the Imperial Remnant in this time frame, in the Ahsoka Mando time frame. Yeah, and I think he is going to be basically the Thanos. He is the big bad. He is the emperor of the OT. And I guess of the prequels a bit. Chris, Thrawn messing up Andor's homeworld. Oh, could you imagine that? What if Thrawn is the one leading the charge on Cassian's homeworld that pulls him into the rebellion? Ooh. Or I should say pushes him. Not really a pull. Ooh, good question, Suru. When or in which series do you think Lucasfilm addresses the impact of the destruction of Alderaan? They've touched on it in Mando. I think that would have, had the Rangers of the Republic gone forward, I think that would have been a major sticking point, or not a sticking point, but a major issue they touched on. But now that that series is pretty much dead, I think we're more likely to see that not addressed, unfortunately. It would take them finding another character from Alderaan and having that real conversation, which I would like to see. I would really like to see that. Arg, I really hope they do a good job of establishing how formidable Thrawn is for the people who haven't watched Rebels or read the books. He's scary because of how smart he is. Oh, bye, Nikki. I just saw your comments. Stay safe. Thank you for coming by today. Boy, how long have I been going? I've been going a while, haven't I? Going a while. Ooh, wow. Okay. 30 more minutes and that's it. I can't I can't go for 2.5 hours. I can. But I really hope they do a good job of establishing how formidable Thrawn is. Because it's Filoni, I trust him. I trust that he will establish that. I really believe we're going to see Thrawn's menace well before we see Thrawn. We'll see his strategies well before we meet the man. I really believe he's going to very smartly set up Thrawn and just how, I like your word of formidable, he is. I think that's in the cards. I trust Filoni. I think he's going to well establish the threat Thrawn poses. Edward, Thrawn will be in Bad Batch. 2 of Rebels characters were in Season 1, 2 more in Season 2, perhaps Zeb and Thrawn. Oh, I see what you're saying there, Edward. We had 2 Rebels characters in Season 1, so maybe 2 more in Season 2, which could be Zeb and Thrawn. I don't know about that. Zeb, maybe. But we'd have to see the fall of his homeworld. I think that's how we would see Zeb, which would be crushing to see. Thrawn, I could see him appear eventually. I think we're a little too early for him to be in the Empire, though. We're a bit early for him to be in the Empire, because I don't think he joined until after Episode 3. And depending on where this takes place, which I think, it looks to me there's going to be a little bit of a jump in time between last season and this season. But I don't think it's going to be a major jump. I think we're talking like a year. So I don't think Thrawn's actually in the Empire yet. Summer, I wonder if we're going to see a space station show type a la Deep Space Nine or Babylon 5 show in the Star Wars universe. I don't think we will, because a show like that is set in one location. And Star Wars tends to go to multiple. It likes to branch out. It likes to explore the galaxy rather than stay in one place. We kind of stayed in one location for the Book of Boba Fett, and I think that was to the show's detriment with fans. I enjoyed the Book of Boba Fett, but I think fans really showed that they don't like Star Wars when it's just self-contained in one place. So I kind of think we won't ever see that. Space stations, sure, we'll see space stations. That's no moon, it's a space station. But unless you're doing a Death Star series, I don't think we'll get a show like that. I mean, as a home base, sure, but I could, you know, traveling to and from it, but never just solely on it. Oh, actually, I just saw your other comment. Bespin are an independent shipyard. There are stories to be shared. You know, now that you mentioned Bespin, that's a good point. That would be a really cool series. But I still go with the idea that I don't know that Star Wars fans like us staying in one place. I know I, as a fan, really like the scope of Star Wars, like when because we never know where we're going to be, where we're going to go. Um, but doesn't mean it couldn't work. Does not mean it couldn't work. Because we do need to change up the formula or else everything gets stale. A Cloud City show actually has me really, really intrigued. So show how it operated pre-Lando, then Lando gets there and takes over, and see how he operates things. And you could make it almost like a boardwalk empire uh, in space. Zach, I'm starting to tilt towards Cumberbatch playing Thrawn more than Mickelson. He has played genius characters, and I think Benedict's star power and charisma would make Thrawn so amazing to see. Uh, I'm still jury's out on who's going to be playing Thrawn. Jury is out. Whoever they get, I'm sure is going to be wonderful because Filoni. And just looking at who he has cast for his voice work, who he's cast in The Mandalorian, whoever he decides on is going to be great. But I could absolutely see Cumberbatch or Mickelson. Droid Herder, Thrawn needs more victories in live action that he had in the books to raise the stakes of his threat. I felt like in the books he almost always got thwarted, which lessened his menace. Um, yeah, they when they first introduced Thrawn, they almost need to introduce him as winning. Like, however he's introduced, he needs to pretty much win. And our heroes narrowly escape, sort of a thing. Zach, although I'm waiting for Acolyte, it seems kind of random how tied up to the other show's movies. Not that it needs to, but it would be kind of be the first one without Skywalker Palpatine. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, you with Acolyte. I don't think it's going to have much of a connection to the movies. It's going to be set in the High Republic, I believe. So it means the only real movie connection we're going to have is going to be Yoda, possibly. Which I'll be happy to see Yoda again. That'd be cool. Oh, Edward, just saw you're leaving. Bye. Force hugs. Good to see you here today. Good to see you here today. Um, but yeah, it won't have much of a Skywalker connection, if any. And I'm happy for that. I mean, Mando has a Skywalker connection, but it's only tacitly. Um, and a lot of Book of Boba Fett doesn't really have a Skywalker connection. Ahsoka obviously will. But yeah, we're starting to venture away from the Skywalkers. I think that's a necessary thing. I'm I'm very curious on what Acolyte's going to be. I really am curious. Ooh, I like that droid herder. I like that they're expanding from this beyond the Skywalker arc, but for Acolyte, they could actually bring in someone like Darth Plagueis. What what an amazing idea! I would love that. Oh, chocolate Fastbender or Lee Pace for Thrawn. Ooh, both would be awesome. Lee Pace we know can rock blue, so but either of those would be fan. Lee Pace would be really good as Thrawn now that I think of it. I hadn't considered him, but ooh, he'd be great. He'd be great. Yeah, just like Arca. I hadn't considered Lee Pace, but man, especially if you've seen The Foundation. Whew. Man, I could see him as Thrawn. Wouldn't have said that just basing it off Ronan. But back to what you were saying there, Herder. Darth Plagueis. That would be... You could actually bring in Darth Plagueis to Acolyte. Maybe maybe you've hit on something. Maybe this Acolyte that's being sent... Because from my understanding, we've got a bit of a synopsis to it. And it's... from the sounds, this is kind of the rumor-ish, is it sounds like it's going to be about a Sith Acolyte infiltrating the Jedi. So... What if they're an acolyte of Darth Plagueis? The pre-Palpatine acolyte or apprentice. And being that it's called acolyte and not apprentice, there is a possibility that this is a situation where whoever it is, I'm going to say Darth Plagueis. Darth Plagueis would have his apprentice, which would be Palpatine in this scenario. And the Acolyte is the side piece. is the Ventress. We're not going to teach you everything, but we're going to teach you enough character. Summer. Oh, Chris, good to see you. See you later. Yeah, I'm going to wrap up here soon too. Summer, I like this question. Do you think Boba Fett is going to provide protection for cargo ships from pirates? If it's in his airspace, yes. Yes, I think Boba will protect every inch of Mos Espa. Almost said Mos Eisley. Mos Espa. And that would include the skies. Pirates come on his people? No. No. But he wouldn't go as far as going into orbit and things like that. But you get near the town and you're done. Arca, Boba versus Hondo. Oh boy. I think Hondo would do good business there. As long as he didn't, actually steal anything from people in town. He would it would all be side hustles. Oh boy. All right. Everybody's still stuck on that Lee Pace thing. I'm just kind of reading through. Everybody's stuck on the Lee Pace thing because that is somebody I had not thought of, and that is a great casting. That is just such a great choice. I wouldn't have thought of that. I really love that. Who said that again? I'm blanking. I'm trying to scroll up to see who said that. I can't see it. Oh, Chocolate. You're the one that said that. Okay. I could... If that was off the top of your head, that's amazing. If that is such good... See, that's the type of left field casting I love, is when they announce a character or an actor for a character and you go, I would have never thought of them and they sound perfect. Summer, I love that. Boba Fett's empire will eventually take over the entirety of Tatooine, turning it into a trade destination a la Alderaan. Yeah, I could see that. I don't know if that happened. Oh, you just thought of it yesterday, Chocolate. That's awesome. But I could see that. I don't know if is that in canon. Have we seen that in canon? Because it could be in one of the books in the post or the what do we call the sequel? Well, the sequel trilogy books. Um, but yeah, that's a great. If that's not in canon, that should be. That would be perfect because I can see Boba just consolidating Tatooine under himself and becoming basically the best governor he's ever had. He'd be firm, but just. Yeah, Chocolate, that is still amazing that you thought of that. That is a great one. And Arca, I will see you later. Have a great week. If we don't talk again, have a great week. Oh, Droid Herder, you're leaving too. All right. Take care. May the force be with you. So glad that you could join us today. Summer haven't read anything since they retconned the old books. I've read a few. I've read a few. Um, oh, Chocolate. He's one of those non-English actors whose English accent is near perfect, and I'm English. Yeah, so you catch when it doesn't work. Just like I occasionally catch when certain doctors of the strange variety slip a little bit of their English accent into their American one, which I still don't understand why they didn't make Doctor Strange just English. It was fine. He could have used his normal accent. We'd have gotten over it. I don't know why they changed it, but they did. Martha, hello there. Loved it all. Yeah, we're wrapping up here actually, Martha, but thank you for joining. We're going to go for a couple more minutes. Zach, last thought. I wonder how many times Disney has asked Filoni Favreau that how could they bring Ray together with all these other characters, Ahsoka, Luke, Mando, with time travel or something. um, I gotta hope they've never had that conversation. I really gotta hope they never had that conversation because the closest they could ever come is, the voices that they did in um, Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, stage four of the MCU definitely metaphysics and spirituality. And we're supposed to get clarification on that soon. Like, are we going to actually know what the overall overall story is for the MCU going forward? Which that's a wow, we've taken a turn. We were talking all Star Wars. We started Kenobi, dipped into our predictions for Andor and Ahsoka and Acolyte, and now we're on to the MCU. Did we run out of Star Wars? But we did confirm Lee Pace is now our pick for Thrawn. Because that is such good casting. Wow, I'm going to be disappointed with whoever they pick now. Just kidding. I'll probably love whoever they pick. But on that note, Doctor Doom, Zach, Doctor Doom, could be. I mean, I assume it's going to be. Oh my goodness, I'm blanking on his name. Why am I blanking on is one of the biggest Avengers villains in history, and I just blanked on his name. We've already met who the villain's going to be at the end of Loki, but the way they act, um, please drop it in the comments since I'm blanking. I'm having a brain fart right now. But I'm assuming that or the way they've talked is he may not be the main villain going forward. We may have somebody else. So yeah, Zach, I'd love to see Doctor Doom, but we need to get the Fantastic Four in here too. So anyway, now that we've completely gone off the rails on what we were talking about, I'm going to call it a day because we've been going for almost 2 hours. Thank you all so much for joining me. Thank you all for sticking with me through this incredible journey. I loved Obi-Wan Kang. Thank you, Summer. Thank you so much. That was going to be one of those things that was driving me crazy. But thank you all so very much for joining me on this incredible journey that was Obi-Wan. I I am in the camp where I still love this series. I know there are people out there who did not, that, find problems with it. I don't see them. I don't see them. Like I said, the only problem I saw with this series, and it's a minor problem to me, and that was the score. I think that I agree that there was this great conversation earlier where we were talking about the fact that, with the score, it needed to be understated. It really did. In the quiet moments, it needed to be understated. But I do believe the louder moments, the scenes, the action scenes, the big moments needed bigger music. And we didn't quite have that. But it's just like with Rogue One, where I love Rogue One, but it's the lesser of the soundtracks for me. In the case of Kenobi, I love this series. It's just one of the lesser of the soundtracks for me. But otherwise, I don't really have any problems with the things this series did. I love it intensely. And I think it actually recontextualized so many things in the original trilogy in ways I love, in great ways. Kenobi is over, but New Star Wars is never over. That's true, Zach. That is very true. Martha, I wish Kevin Kiner did it. You and me both. I actually said that early on. I had said I wish they had gotten Kevin Kiner. I don't know why they haven't brought him in to score these series. Mando's theme or music is wonderful, and it's great for that series. But for a series like this, I'm not sure why they didn't go to Kiner. He's proven himself in the past of being able to create some amazing Star Wars music that sounds similar to John without straight up copying him. And that is a very rare ability, to know the sound of a series, to know what the series needs to sound like without wholesale just trying to copy someone. Which he does add flourishes from John's work and things like that, because those are Star Wars themes, and you need to do that. So I still don't know why they didn't do that. But that is my one criticism. Otherwise, I love what this added to the lore. I love that it recontextualized Obi-Wan and Leia's relationship. I love that it recontextualized Aunt Beru and Owen, and it actually established that, maybe when they died fighting. It established why Obi-Wan would, quit his quest to save Anakin, how he would find out Anakin was even still alive. It added so much to me, including why he thought of Anakin, why Anakin was dead, because he now does think of Anakin as dead, and Vader is the thing that replaced him. So, yeah, I just love this series so much, and I'm so glad you guys stuck with me. And Summer, I hope you have a lovely day as well as a great week, as I do the rest of you. I hope you have a great week coming up. I'm going to be posting some other stuff. Like, I will finally get to the Ahsoka series. I'm going to finally get caught up on some fan films. So I'm going to start doing that, as well as, yes, I am looking for another series to do right now. So I'll figure that one out, and, just keep an eye on the channel. I'll let you know. All right. So, before I go, as always, please take care of yourselves. And please take care of each other. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I can't wait to do this again. Bye-bye.